He would deliberately move closer and secretly memorize the shape of the key's teeth on the guard's keyring. At night, Lewis would then rely on his memory to draw a model. Even the tiniest detail, Lewis would redraw dozens of times just to perfectly replicate the key's teeth. And this was only his first step. After the guards finished their rounds, William rolled up a sheet of paper and slid it into the lock. With just a few pokes from a pencil, he pulled it out, and the paper now had creases. That was the key's length. The third step was the outline of the key. Lewis took another blank sheet of paper, pressed it over the lock, repeatedly rubbing it back and forth with his fingers, then traced it directly with a pencil. But now that he had the drawings, the material to make the key became the real problem. Getting metal in prison was nearly impossible, but wood was everywhere. As soon as Lewis voiced the idea, his escape partner started mocking him, saying a wooden key would snap instantly. But for now, there was no better option. While working in the shop, Lewis took advantage of a moment when the guard wasn't paying attention and quietly slipped a few pieces of wood into his pocket, planning to hide them inside his thermos to get through inspection. Unexpectedly, a guard walked in at that very moment. To cover for Louis, his partner hurriedly knocked things over to draw the guard's attention. The guard seemed to sense something was off and immediately ordered everyone to line up for individual checks. When it was Lewis's turn, his extreme nervousness instantly aroused the guard's suspicion. The guard asked Lewis what he was nervous about, and Lewis said he wasn't. The guard picked up Lewis's thermos, poured out the coffee inside, then shook it a few times. Luckily, there was no sound of wooden pieces rattling. Lewis had stuffed a rag inside beforehand, and that was how he escaped disaster. When the prison finally fell silent late at night, Lewis began making the key. He carved out the grooves with a knife, smoothed every part carefully with sandpaper, shaped the handle, and glued it together, then placed it under a lampshade to dry. After confirming the pieces were firmly bonded, he kept grinding it according to the teeth pattern. After repeated comparisons, the key from his memory finally took shape. Once the key was finished, Lewis excitedly inserted it into the lock to test it. With a gentle turn, the wooden key surprisingly moved the mechanism smoothly. With a click, the lock opened just like that. Unfortunately, before he could celebrate, the scene in front of him drove him to utter despair. The lock on the second door could only be opened from the outside. How could someone inside possibly open a lock meant to be turned from the outside? But faced with such a problem, Lewis, though stuck, did not give up on making keys. Whenever he got the chance, he stared at the large ring of keys on the guard's waists. Late at night, he would climb out of bed and secretly work. Then during group cleaning time, he took out the keys to test them. True to his reputation as a mechanical genius, as the key turned, the lock core of the second door popped out with ease. But just as Lewis was about to turn the lock core back into place, the key jammed. Using too much force, the key snapped off inside the lock. Lewis panicked instantly, and at that exact moment, the sound of guards' footsteps climbing the stairwell echoed closer.